and welcome to Sarah's Stampin' Retreat. I know that a lot of you, like me, probably have quite a few packs of pattern paper stashed away, and some of them, they're just so pretty that it's very difficult to cut them up. So today I wanted to create a set of cards. We're going to create 10 cards with different layouts that make the most out of your pattern paper. So we're going to go from very, very simple, and none of them are complicated, but we'll go to some layouts with more layers later on in the video. But they're all making the most of the pattern paper so that you can really show it off and cut up some of that pattern paper to make some room for some more beautiful things. So today I'm going to be using this gorgeous Daffodil Afternoon DSP, and that is one of our celebration gifts. And actually it's one that I didn't buy in my initial order, but now that I have it, I absolutely love it, and you'll see I've used it for a few different projects. So let me show you what this is. Obviously I've not got a whole pack left. You get 2 sheets of each of these designs, but I've used more than one whole sheet of this one, so I've only got part of it left. So we've got that, and some of you will have seen me use this to make a milk carton gift box last week. And we have this, which is my favourite, with that on the back. Then we've got this one, it's really gorgeous, with this on the back. This one with this on the back. This one with this on the back. This one with this on the back. And because I want this to focus on the DSP, and I really think that's a really beautiful pack of paper, so I really want that to be the focus of my designs. So I'm going to use minimal extra products. So I've chosen this Stitch So Sweetly die set, which has got these layering scalloped rectangles and these shapes here. And then the Celebrating You stamp set. If you don't have this, I really recommend it because it's got such a nice range of sentiments that you can use it for so many different occasions. You've literally got everything from thank you to Happy Mother's Day, wishing you a happily ever after, welcome little one, happy birthday, happy Father's Day, happy anniversary. You can see it's got a whole range of events there. And actually, just to note as well, that if you buy this and this, then that will take you over the £45 that you need to get the Daffodil Afternoon papers for free. So that's worth considering as well, because these two things I think are really good additions to your supplies that you use over and over again, and then you can get that gorgeous paper for free. So other than those, I'm going to be adding very little, just a few different inks, bit of ribbon, not a lot else. So for my first couple of cards, I'm keeping it really simple because I just want to make the most of this paper. You can see I cut this from this paper, and it creates like a picture on its own, so I don't think you need a lot else. I'm just going to add a sentiment. So I've got a 5-inch square Evening Evergreen card blank. Then this piece is 4 3/4 inches square. And then I've got a piece of very vanilla cardstock here that I'm just going to stamp my sentiment on. And I actually think this is a nice Easter card, so let's go with Happy Easter for this one. So I'm going to take my Evening Evergreen ink pad. I'm just going to stamp my Happy Easter sentiment on there. So then I'm just going to glue this onto my card front. Then I'm just going to pop this down here on some dimensionals. And that's just my super simple card finished. And I think sometimes when we make cards, if it's really simple, we feel like we've cheated, but I think that's a really beautiful card, and it really makes the most of that really nice DSP, and so why not just make a really pretty simple card. So I'm going to go super simple on this second one as well. So this is a very similar card to the one we've just done. The only way that I'm stepping this one up a bit further is just by heat embossing the sentiment instead of stamping it. So I'm going to make this into a birthday card. So I've got this lovely happy birthday sentiment. I'm just going to use my Versamark ink. Now I've just got my embossing powder. This is the Stampin' Up! Heat embossing powder. I've just poured into a little pot, and Just makes it a bit easier to pour that on and off. And you'll see that because the Stampin' Up! Heat embossing powder is really fine, it clings to the delicate nature of that sentiment really well. So you always want to make sure that you've got a nice fine embossing powder if you're doing delicate sentiment type things. So let's take my heat tool and just heat that up. So let's glue this together. And then again we'll just pop some dimensionals behind. And there's another really pretty card that really makes the most of that really gorgeous pattern paper. So then for my next card, I've just stepped it up again a little bit further. So this time I've got an A6 card blank, which is 5 7/8 inches by 8 1/4 inches, scored and folded in half, and that's basic black. And then I've got a mat for that, so that's 1/4 inch smaller. But what I've done is I've cut it about 1 3/4 inches from the bottom, and then I've just flipped, so you can see this is the other side of that paper. So I've just flipped the bottom side over, so we've got 2 patterns from one piece of paper. So let's glue those on first. Then I've got this piece which is just over 1/2 inch high, and it just fits across my pattern paper, and I'm just going to put that along the join in the paper. And then I've also cut, this is from the Stitch So Sweetly dies, and I've cut that from basic black cardstock. So I'm just going to heat emboss my sentiment on that. So let's go with that little thank you on that one. So I've stamped that with the Versamark ink, so let's put on some of the white embossing powder. And then we can melt that. And I'm going to pop these on the back of here. So that's our third card done. So then for our fourth card, I've cut this piece from Pale Papaya cardstock, and then I've got an A6 Evening Evergreen card blank. This piece of paper is 1/4 inch smaller than my card front, and then this piece is 1 inch thick and goes across my card, and that's Evening Evergreen again. So another really simple one. Let's just take my Evening Evergreen ink. I think I'll go Happy Birthday again on this one. So let's glue that all together. And then glue this across the middle. So that's that card. So then for my next card, I've got an Evening Evergreen card blank, A6 card blank, and then I've cut this so that I've got 3 pieces that are 1 3/4 by 3 3/4 inches. So that measures 5 1/4 inches along the top before you cut it down. I'm just going to glue those across my card. And I'm going to take some of this woven ribbon in Pale Papaya, and I'm just going to pop that across my card. So I'm going to use my Stampin' seal to do there. When I'm using ribbon, I prefer to either use like the tape runner, like the Stampin' seal, or tearing tape. So I'm going to use my Stampin' seal for this. I'm just going to pop it across like that, and then I'm going to trim off the sides. And the reason I like to use one of those adhesives is there's no movement, which is good when you're using ribbon, and also because it holds it right to the ends, I find that you get less fraying with it. So I think I'll use my thank you again on this one to heat emboss in white. So this is a piece of Evening Evergreen cardstock, that I've cut one of the Stitch So Sweetly dies. So let's heat that up. So that's that card completed. So for my next card, I thought I'd cut a couple of these daffodils out to decorate quite a plain card. So I'll cut out 3 and just see how many I feel I need when I put the card together. So then I'm going to use my Memento Tuxedo black ink to just stamp my happy birthday in the middle of this. So then I'm going to take my basic black Stampin' White marker. You can see this hasn't stamped quite as well as I'd have liked, but I'm going to colour it anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. So I'm just going to go around this birthday. So I've got my A6 basic black card blank. Then I've got a mat that is made up of this pale papaya paper. Then I've got this that's an inch wide and the same length as my pale papaya paper, and this that's an inch and a quarter and the same width. So that's pale papaya and basic black. So let's just glue those on. And you'll notice when I glue, I don't push it and get blobs out. I press really lightly on here and then I scribble on, so I'm getting a really fine covering of glue, and that means that when I put it down, I'm not getting lots of lumps and bumps, I'm getting a nice flat panel. So let's glue that onto here. Let's glue this onto my card. And then I just want to arrange these daffodils. So I'm going to put these on with some dimensionals. That's that card completed. So for this card, I've got an Evening Evergreen A6 card blank, and then I've just cut up some scraps of the papers, and you can see they're all slightly odd sizes, so kind of use what you've got and make them fit. So I'm going to glue those onto there. You can see like some of them are a little bit wider than others, but I've just kind of used 4 scraps to make up a rectangle. And actually they all look a similar paper, but if you look closely you'll be able to see that this one and that one are actually from the daffodils paper that kind of grows up, and these 2 pieces are from that paper that I said was my favourite at the start. But actually put together like this, they all look, because they're quite similar colours, they all look like they're from the same paper. So I actually cut these so that when they're all together like this, they're 3/4 of an inch smaller than my card front. And then I just chop them up. And then let's use my happy birthday sentiment again, and I'm going to heat emboss that again. That means I need my Versamark ink and some of my white embossing powder. Then I'm going to grab my heat tool and just heat that up. So I'm going to pop this onto my card with some dimensionals. And that's that card completed too. So then for my next card, I've got an A6 basic black card blank, a mat that's 1/4 inch smaller than the card front, made from the daffodil paper. Then I've got this piece, which is 4 1/4 by 2 1/4 of basic black cardstock, and then this is 2 by 4 inches of some different contrasting paper. Then I've got this piece, which is 1 inch high and the same width as the backing paper, and this is 1 1/4 inches high and the same width. And then I've got a piece of basic black which I've cut out with one of those Stitch So Sweetly dies. So I'm just going to use my Happy Birthday sentiment again to heat emboss my sentiment onto this piece here. So I'm going to use white embossing powder again. So I'm going to heat that up with my heat tool. So then we can pop this together, and even though there's more layers to this one, it's still nice and easy to put together. So I'm going to glue all the layers together first. So the DSP's gone on the card front, and then I'm going to pop this bit of Daffodil Delight cardstock onto here. And I'm using Daffodil Delight because it picks up the colour in the 2 pieces of paper. So I'll glue this across here, and then I'm going to glue this over the top again. In fact, I might actually use some dimensionals to add that on. It doesn't matter that I've already put glue on, that will just dry behind. I'll just add some of these over the top. And pop that there. And then I'm going to pop this here. So I'm going to add 2 layers of dimensionals to that side and 1 to that side so that it sits level. So that's that card done. So then for this card, I've got an A6 very vanilla card blank with a mat that's 1/4 inch smaller from the paper, and then this is the second largest of the scalloped rectangles, and I think I'm going to do this way around. So I'm going to use my Memento black ink to stamp the Happy Birthday sentiment. And then I'm going to use this that I cut out earlier, and I'm going to cut out one more. So I'm going to pop that on like that. So let's just glue this on. And then I'm going to use some dimensionals to pop this on. And then I'm going to put these on with a mix of dimensionals and glue so that the dimensionals go onto the actual paper and the glue goes onto the sentiment piece. So that's that card finished. And then for my final card, I've got a 5-inch square evening evergreen card blank, and then I've cut a 4.5-inch square piece of this lovely DSP into 1.5-inch squares. So I'm going to add them to my card first of all. So we've got this cute tiled look, and then I'm just going to heat emboss that Happy Birthday sentiment one more time on this piece that I've cut out of evening evergreen cardstock. Let's heat that up. Now I'll pop some dimensionals on the back. And there we go, that's the final one finished. So let's bring all of the others in. So then there we go, 10 cards that really show off that DSP. They're all really easy to make and use a minimum of supplies. So I really hope that you've got some good ideas and that you fall in love with this DSP as much as I have. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate you clicking like below. You can also press subscribe if you'd like to see future videos. If you press the bell button and select all, then YouTube will also notify you when I've got new videos available. All of the products that I've used for today's cards are listed in the description below. There's also a host code there, so if you pop the host code into your basket before you check out, then I'll send you a free gift after the end of the month. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again soon.